last year. I landed upwards, sideways, downwards, every direction. I land out during that event. I don't know it's a curse or not.
Welcome to Camber Up, episode 2 on the ArmSoar YouTube channel. I am your host, Thomas Lee, and today we're joined by the one and only Nick Wu. What's up?
I would recommend you put a R18 or at least a PG logo in the beginning of the meeting.
I'll probably bleep out some of your words.
Yeah, maybe. You need to editing some words, maybe. I'm not sure what things will coming out during the meetings.
So if you've been flying DLGs for the past couple years, you've probably heard of Nick or have seen some of his work. So Nick is the king of the MDFKs, an underground outlaw group of DLG pilots. He does a lot of live streaming at big events like the World Championships and was the main designer on arguably the most successful DLG in the past few years, the CX5, which has helped their team pilots win the last 2 World Championships. Nick, can you tell us a little bit about yourself for those who don't know you?
Yeah, this is Nick Wu, SKA Wu Yuhui. This is my Chinese name. Maybe some of the pilots didn't know that, but most probably you Nick is Nick. Yeah, I'm a DLG pilot since I fly with Thomas. 2012, as I remember, is the second day of the Chinese Lunar New Year. Yeah.
Let me pull up that image.
I'm this is a very epic photos, as I remember. You can see I didn't hold any DLG in my hand. You know why? Because during that first meeting, some of the guy who also one of my guardians was Robust was launching my wooden DLG and break it. So that's why I have no DLG holding in my hands during the photo takings. Yeah. And also so you see the very slim.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah, very slim guy in the middle C section. This is the famous Thomas.
That's about 50 pounds earlier. For those who don't know, this is Robust on the very left hand side. He is probably the first person I met when I moved back to Asia to fly DLGs. Him and Wayman. I don't think Wayman's in this photo. Yeah, no, Wayman's not in this photo. No. Robust, you guys might know him, the people overseas, as the guy who created the Pandora. So Robust and I, we worked on the Pandora together. But right now, the entire Pandora project that's being used for all the big events now for timing, etc. That's all Robust right here. So this was the first time we flew together or met each other, right?
Yes, both meet and fly. During that time, I didn't know who the B of the middle guy is, except he holding a very expensive DLG right now. Is calling the Steigeisen, and I was thinking that Doom ass was, what's wrong with him flying thousands of monies and throw it to the air, which I think is still amazing and confused now.
Oh man, yeah, no, that was a good plane, but I think those were probably the most expensive planes in China at the time.
Yeah, very expensive. You can see the other guys was most flying a very cheap price, very low range one, like the long shot 4, which Panha was holding, and some DIY models. Yeah, and me without any models during that time.
Were you making your own models?
No, not during that times. I was only a beginner flying a wooden RTF1 from a Chinese local shop, which called the GT models. And then I was flying a composite one after this event when Robust feeling so guilty. Yes, that's the one. Feeling that so guilty that he sell me in a very low price with a composite one, the first composite one I threw. This is a very funny videos, and the first time when my wife Ines was recording for my launch, and it was break.
Was that your first time she was at flying field with you?
No. It's not the first time. She has been with me, flying with me in the very beginning a long time, but not sure how she managed to record this. Shit happens.
I think.
But you know, there was another time that when I launched the Blaster 3 into the trees also, she managed to record it. Yes. You can see yo in the very end of the, the video.
That's Enos.
Yeah, that's Enos. Yeah.
Okay, so before we continue with the podcast, I'd like to give the audience a bit of an update on what we're trying to do with the Camber Up podcast. So originally, we were planning on doing the episodes around 30 minutes or so, but very quickly, we realized there is no way that we would be able to get in depth with any topic in 30 minutes. So we were around the 45-minute mark last time, and honestly, we could have gone quite a bit more into details. But the time limit really forced us to pull back and kind of reduce the chances of us going out in small tangents and stories, which I think are one of the main attractions of a podcast and why I listen to podcasts so much. So for the next few episodes, what we're going to do is just chat through the topics with a little bit less focus on the time, with the aim of creating, more interesting discussions for everyone. Now, understandably, sometimes you might not be able to watch or listen to the entire thing in one go. But it's YouTube, so you can always go back and finish it if you have to stop halfway through. And at the same time, we're going to create a new playlist called Camber Up Clips, and we'll get that up later this week. Basically, we'll take the podcast from the previous week and chop it up into the various chapters and upload those under the Camber Up Clips so that each video is only 10 to 15 minutes long and the topics become searchable. So for people like me who like to listen to podcasts when we're working or driving, we can still have the full-length podcast. And for those who likes the shorter formats that focuses on one topic at a time, those will be available to you as well. So make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our new videos, and let us know what you think and what you'd like to see in the comments down below. Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about designs. So obviously, you're well known for the CX5, which was between you as the main designer on the wings and most of the aerodynamics. And then I think Rolo was kind of like the project manager. He gave you a lot of direction on what he would like to see. And then Lorinus, of course, they did the production. And he also, I think he designed the fuselage and tails, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I'm mainly focused on the wing and aerodynamic design of the 6.5 and also using a lot of study work from senior, Roland Summer Senior, and also Lorinus and their team, the stream team, designed the fuselage and also making the production of the models. So 6.5 was a very successful DLG in the market in the last 2 decades, and
not 2 decades,
it
but
wings.
But
yeah, some years, yeah.
2 decades mean 20 years.
I'm sorry. Yeah, and then I also designed the Flare, which has the first leading edge.
Hi, Ines.
I also designed the Flare, which has the leading edge flap in the very first time in the DLG design, and also some very beginners for beginners for the solar and the stellar. And yes, this is most of the work. And also I'm working on some new projects too, which you may know.
Yeah, I know, but I don't think we can go in public yet.
No, we can't talk about this.
No.
Yeah.
Bleep.
But it's very fun that we have some projects undergoing in the phases during the COVID pandemic in the global. But we do know that there was so many new design in the market right now. You can see there's a Yoda coming from Redamia models and also some Vortex 4, Flix 3, so many new models was coming out now. So which was
it's like one after another. It's just like bam, 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 bam.
Yeah, exactly. This is a very new, very good sign for the community, and also a lot of people was thinking about how to design DLG and how the new design can change the rules of the games and change the ranking maybe.
Well, that was what we were trying to do with the Flare, right? Because the Flare was like, it was something never done in a DLG before. What do you think of that project? Like, I know ultimately we didn't make a whole lot of those,
Yes. For the Freya, it was how to say, it's ambition project that we want to push the limit into the very, very floaty machines with the leading edge flap, and also a very complicated design. I cannot tell it's complicated, but very innovation design with a different fuselage connection, and also with only 5 servers in the fuselage can control a lot of things. But the problem with the Flare is that also because of the production was the first time we're making in the AERO Plus studio, and which we have a very few knowledge of how to make a good DLG, and also with the design itself has some disadvantage of the design goal that how should I say, maybe I make a mistake on the design goal that I push the limit too far away from the competitive and for competition DLGs, which comes out that the Flare cannot launch very high, and launching high is the one of the most very, very important characters of the current competitive DLG in the market. So we are thinking about making the second one, but we don't know. We cannot talk about this yet.
Obviously, launching high is, I would say probably one of the most important things in a DLG event for a model. Because once you're launching higher, you have access to further thermals. Thermals are more developed at a higher altitude, so they're going to be stronger. You can afford to make more mistakes. And I guess that was probably one of the goals for the CX5 that came after the Flare, right?
Yes, exactly. Because of the CX5, for the first time when Ron talking to me, that during that time before we have the solar platform, which was a kind of very higher AR wing compared to the original 2 and 3 and 4, and also the solar during that time was a bagging machine, not a solid core, not a molded one, and he managed to win the 2016 CISA Open using the solar in China, and he was thinking about putting a new addition compared to the 6.4 in that time, during that time, that to make a very light and very faulty one to the after the 6.4. And then when I talked to him about the design goal of the new machine should move up to a higher launch and faster models, we talk a lot about it, and finally we comes out with the 6.5, which in the first time when Ronald launched it, he said it was amazing and flying like a rocket machine. That's the first image of the 6.5.
That's awesome, and obviously the proof is in the pudding, and it's been doing very, very good in competitions all over the world.
Yes, and also because of the 6.5 was making by the stream team, and they have a very good quality comes out, and lots of national pilot, which we know since we have all the travels around the world, and they started to get interesting to test the low wing design, and then a lot of pilots flying with the 6.5, and right now I think there's a lot of pilots in the national team flying the 6.5, and which make it very successful. It's not only the design, it's also about the pilot who flies it.
Absolutely. So you were mentioning, some of the new traits that you feel DLG is going to go toward. What do you guys think?
The last time I talked about the DLG design trait was that I was thinking about within 1 or 2 years, DLG will still keep the same design as right now, without any big changes, only more simple and more close to each other for the different design. But right now you can see the new models, Yoda was coming out, and also there was so many new features of the models right now. And I was thinking that the future will be, the first feature of the new design should be portable. Because right now it's like the BAM 2 and also some new models like the Vortex 3 years ago already thinking about the portable feature of the design, like 2-piece wing, removable vertical, and more easier to build and more easier to assembly when you go out flying. That kind of feature, I think, will be the very, very good point for the new design. And the second one, I think we will come back to the time, maybe some years ago, like the time when I started to fly the DLG, like there is Steigeisen, Firewalk, and Blaster Free. There's so many different designs, like the Coxtail, like the very small wings and very big wings. A lot of different designs compared to right now. Right now, there's almost every design was looking so similar to each other. But during that time, a lot of different kind of design was coming out in the market, and everyone had their own fans.
Everyone was trying different things.
Yes. I like that time. Like the XX line was going to so extremely small. Was also going during the time like years ago, and now we are making similar design for a couple years right now. And for the next phases, I think different designs will coming out, just like the years ago, which in Chinese way we call the 10 years east, the 10 years west. So for the new trade, I will think there was a lot of, we'll have a lot of innovation and new ways of thinking that people will get wow for new design coming out, just like the Yoda right now doing the same things. Joe will have and Vladimir making a polywing, which was not a new design, but actually is a kind of some kind of new things in today's competitive glidings.
Right, because it's been around for years and years and years, but it has, we moved away from it once we went to, discus launch and having servos, because servos were not quite small enough back then. And it really opens up different possibilities now that there are smaller servos like the XO6 from KSD, which is 6-7 millimeters, and now all of a sudden you can fit 4 servos in a wing again, right? And I think that's one of the things that really allowed them to create the Yoda and have that.
Technology always push the way of the designer to think bigger. Technology and like the solid coal and the new carbon always have the chance to let the designer to think more of the current design. So I think there was when the technology allow us to do more, we can upgrade the gears very good, and the designer will have more thinking. Like right now, the most of the models right now was so light, even too light for the competition. So they have more chance to add more features into the design, like the 2-piece, like the 4-servo thing. I think this is a good thing for the market.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very interesting to see what different companies come up with. For ourselves, ArmSoar, my thinking for the past few years has always been to simplify, right? To make things more robust in terms of reliability. It's easy to build, even if you're a newcomer into the hobby. What do you normally fly in terms of events? Are you mainly still flying F3K, or do you fly others like F5J, F5K, etc.?
Yeah, right now, as I'm focused on the AeroPlus studio work, which we are the dealer of the Chinese market for most of the soaring machines like the F3K, F5K, and P5B, which is called the electronic gliders, and also the F5J. So right now, I almost fly every categories we sell, which it is for living, right? But also I was interested in electronic gliders also. So I travel a lot to the overseas. Like I attend the first time F5J World Championship with some guys in China, and also meet a lot of people around in Europe and also in US. So I fly the F5J and F3K as my major, and right now I started to fly the F5K also. We set up a lot of new contests of F5K contests in China, of the Chinese China tour, aero modeling tour this year. So also I compete in our Chinese national with the P5B, which a little bit close to F5K, but not the same rules. Is a very powerful motors climb to the sky and finish a 5-minute soaring. So and also a landing was required. So this is another kind of the game. Maybe the other guy outside China didn't know that, but we have a very, very strong network and where a lot of pilots, especially in junior classes, flying the P5B is kind of a how to say a category for very, very new beginners and also easier to accept by the community to start to soaring with a motor. So it's kind of very promotional, a very easy promotion, and a lot of guys, including very young kids, can join the fun of the soaring. So very popular here, the P5B.
Like P5B is an example. P stands for Puji, which is like common or entry level.
Yeah.
And that is because a lot of juniors fly these so that they can get entry points into better schools and things like that. Is that still a thing, or is that just when I was living over there?
Yeah, in the old time of the Chinese aero modeling hobby, some of the students, why they are so active to join our games is because they will have extra bonus point when they go to like middle school or even high school in some years ago. But right now the government and also the schools didn't have using the same rules, but you do have some advantage when you apply to certain kind of universities or high school when you are a very good pilot and win some national prizes in those events. But you do have the advantage. So a lot of people start to find the guiding and also some, how to say, model flying because they have some purpose in the very beginning. But right now, there's a lot of parents and junior pilots want to enjoy the fun of the game, and also they want to some new things and join a hobby, which was good to them. So a lot of pilots and a lot of parents want to go to the event of this, like the different kind of event, like FPV events, model flying, soaring events. They are willing to join it and gain some extra knowledge of the beside the schools, the study, because right now education is very important and very popular here in China, especially the kind of we are enjoy is the hobby with the modeling.
Well, I think it's a
you
lot.
need to learn how to.
It's a lot like technology, like robotics, aerospace, AI, coding. Because when I was there,
Yeah, exactly.
Because I moved to China or Hong Kong and beside China in 2011, and I left in 2018. And in those years, I noticed like parents really push their kids into different technology sectors, even at a very, very young age. And I think that's one of the reasons why we see such a big boom of technology that's coming out of China.
Yes, because of the age of the parents of right now, like me, my daughter was 7 years old and almost 8 now, and some of the same generation of us as parents, we want our children to learn more and to be more adapt to the society and also making friends around the world. So the parents of our generation will we want to spend money on this kind of events and interests for our children. So that's why there's so many junior pilots in China now.
I remember you told me once the national championships for the juniors for P5B, and this was after the regional selections. So these are only the kids who were able to go to nationals. How many were there at the maximum for P5B alone?
The P5B, which the electronic glider category for P5B for the junior national is around 260 something. That's only the national, not including the province elections and school elections. I think for the P5B market in China, maybe there's over thousands of pilots flying the P5B in China.
See, that's crazy. Like, where else would you find? Like, I don't even see 10 different juniors flying all over America, right?
Because
In all the
it's
events
kind
I
of
go
different. Yeah, right now there are a lot of the schools and also the middle schools and primary schools. They have the after-class education, which some of our friends was teaching them how to make the wooden gliders and how to manage to fly after class in that school. There is a class, actual class there. And those pilots, those friends was paid by the school, and they need to have 1 or 2 classes each week for all around the students in the same school. There's so many schools have that class of the modelings and maybe some other kind of technology classes. So that's why there's you cannot imagine how many people there has the chance to know our hobby right now in China.
That's incredible. I was recently talking to someone. They're also recent immigrants to Canada and also from China, and they have a 13-year-old kid. So he was flying DLGs in China. He's 13 years old. He came over to Canada, and I don't think they had any aero modeling club for people his age here in Calgary. And so what I understand is him and his parents, they started this online club and for other juniors to learn aero modeling and stuff, and they're already up to like 50 kids around North America.
Yeah,
mostly Chinese, because I think they kind of got this together through like some Chinese social media apps and things like
network,
that.
yeah,
Network, exactly.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
from what they told me, most of the parents is the same mentality as back in China. They want their kids to be more interested in different technologies. Maybe one day they can be engineers. Maybe they'll have interest to be pilots, etc. I think it's just like the past year or several months. I don't think it's even been a year yet, and they're already starting to progress up into the next stage of RC, and it's incredible how like our culture kind of embraces this right now.
Yeah, because you need to understand the situation of the Chinese thinking, because from the very beginning we are thinking about they have the purpose to do that when they want to join the community of the RC models, the RC network. But after that, when they figured out that how fun it is, and the student itself and the junior itself find a lot of good friends and find a lot of good things in our community, they started to have more interesting to fly longer time. And when I saw some younger kids in Chinese events, when they're very young, they have different faces. In the very beginning, they might be was forced to do that, some kind of faces like that.
Forced to
but
go to
after,
math school.
Yeah, exactly. And then when they flying and they have so many funs during the event and join a lot of friends, and after that, they even willing to go to a lot of events. When we have a different event in China, we call it tour. They are talking to their parents. Can I go to the event because my friends was there? I want to join them. That kind of motivation was totally different. And right now there was so many younger kids was in the same situation which I talk about, that they are so eager to come to the community, even when they have finished the school work, and when they join maybe go to a university, and they will want to find local pilots in their new cities of the university, the area, to join together, to spend a weekend with them together. This become a real hobby of them. So that's why there's so many younger guys in China now, in our community, that flying the boat, the soaring things, the FPV things. So many younger guys.
And I think that's incredible, because it really gives a different perspective to what the hobby is like in different parts of the world. Because presumably most of the people who are listening or watching our channel is from America or some from Europe, but mostly Western countries and English speaking. And over here, everyone flies it for fun, right? There's no other motive. Like, it's not to go into better schools. There's nothing real, no other purpose. and just to see how it flourishes in another country that most people are not very familiar with is quite interesting. Now, speaking back to different flying events like F3K, F5J, F5K, for yourself, what do you like the most between the different events?
I can say as an event organizer for the most of the events in China right now, I can tell for my personally, I would still like the F3K the best because it was so cool, much cooler than the other categories. I'm sorry to say that in case of some people didn't like it, but F3K is my somehow like first love of me. So I still very interesting spend most of my time in FEK, but I can find that F5J and also the electronic glider categories was kind of different fronting, especially the F5J. If you start to fly the F5J, the first thing is that you feel it was kind of different and harder to manage to start to flying compared to FEK, because although you have the power of the motor, you can using the power to climb, but the hardest part is that you need to manage very low altitude to win the game when you want to win it. You cannot climb very high to achieve a high score when you compete with other top pilots, especially in China. I give an example of the last event we have 1 month ago in Henan. Most of the top pilots fly around start high was around 15 meters now already.
So 15 as in 1-5 or 5-0?
50 meters.
5-0. Okay.
5-0. Yeah, 5 zeros. So a lot of pilots was trying to achieve a higher score when competing with other top pilots, because we have some good pilots there too in the event. So it was kind of different kind of feelings when you fly the F5J, and also the F5K is similar, very similar, but smaller size. And also F5K has more task compared to F5J. F5J is only one task with 10 minutes flying, but the F5K is similar to F3K. They have a lot of like 1, 2, 3, 4, like OR last down, like the 3, 3, 4, like poker. Even poker was included in the F5K. So it's kind of different kind of feelings when you find those models, and also a different technique you need to learn when you go to the different events. So I can tell there's all very, very good event and very good category for the pilots, which you should try. At least you should try and see whether you like it or not, because some of the F5J pilots was kind of old pilots which cannot launch high compared to our FEK junior and also very powerful launchers, which they feel more confident and feel more active flying the F5J right now in China.
Regarding F5K, are you guys using the rules as published, or are you modifying the rules?
We use most of the rules except for the landing zone that we didn't have time to set up in the very beginning as an organizer, which I talked to Brian some days ago, that we can feel that even with the similar landing and launching field as the FEK we're now using, is also good to begin with at the FIK rules. But besides that, every rules was similar as the published one, FIK.
Because I know right now, in Europe, they're mostly flying the F5K rules as published, more or less. And then in the States, most of the people are not flying that. Instead, they have opted to include that in a DLG event, kind of like an electric assist DLG, to try to boost the popularity of DLGs again, right? So those who were not able to compete due to launch height or etc., and they can come back in and join.
Right now, because it's very beginning ages of the FIK, because right now the rules was just coming out, and even the FAI didn't approve that. I was heard that it will be written in the code next year, but it was a very beginning phrases for everyone in the world. even in China, in Europe, in US, a lot of pilots didn't know actually how to fly the events and what the rule it should be. So in the very beginning phases, I think different idea will be good to try different kind of things, like even included in a F3K events, you using motors and launch to a similar high, like 60 or maybe 70 high.
I think it's
using the
mostly
same
like
rule
a 50-meter cutoff, and then they usually zoom a
Yeah,
little bit higher. Yeah.
yeah. I think it's good for the community too, to let people to try that first. Because right now we are not in a very, how to say, very good ages of when this kind of competition was so popular, not like the F3K or F5J. It was more, how to say, um, not too many pilots was getting involved than the other category in FIK. So in the very beginning phases, I think a lot of ways, no matter what, even in using a different kind of machines or maybe a little bit bigger, even wooden models can be allowed in the events to help to promote the category of the FIK. But because we are thinking about the FIK is kind of a different kind of category right now, and people should have the chance to fly it, no matter what kind of rule it is. But basically, I would suggest to follow some structure of the official rule, which already on the website now Brian was doing amazing work working with different people to get around the rules, how it should be. So we should follow some kind of the rules, but we can use some local rules, compare, depends on the situation, which different countries maybe have different kind of situation or advantage on setting up a suitable event for the pilot. I give an example of China. A lot of electronic gliders was there, but they mostly for P5B category, which they have a very strong motors in the nose rather than the very small one we're using for the FIK. But I will allow those people to join the competition and suggest them to using very short time for launching, because if we use like 6 seconds or 7 seconds in the as the rule set, maybe the model was like 200 meters high, even if we use the P5B models. So I would suggest them to cut a little bit of power to join the competition, and then they are willing to join it. And finally, they will feel that this kind of FIK is even more fun than the P5B category. So some of the people already changed their models to FIK rules and then start to focus on FIK events now. So it is a good thing for local organizer to using local rules to let more people to join the games. And now we have better pilots to join an official one of the FIK category, and that will be the next phase, I think.
Yeah, we are in a very, early developmental stage of F5K right now.
Yeah.
And I think, honestly, I love the fact that it's being used as, electric assist DLGs in America, because it really helps get much more people back into the game. And I think people have already seen that participation has increased because of this new adaptation of allowing electric launch. Now, it's also interesting to see what happens after they try that, because I think some of the clubs have continued to simplify the rules, whereas some of the clubs also in the States have started to change the rules so that it's more similar to the F5K rules as published. So it's very interesting to see how people modify and continue to adapt the rules based on their experiences with the game.
I think because it's a very new category, so a lot of people get involved into the game organizing or maybe join the competition will be good for the future, no matter how the rules it will be. Even the F3K rules, they change every year, But first, we need to get involved to as many people as we want to join the competition first.
Are you still live streaming for events in China or only when you're overseas?
I also do a live streaming in China too, but because when I go to competition as an organizer and also as a pilot, I didn't have enough time to do a lot of live streaming. But I will try to get a chance, let's say when I'm not flying, I will want to record like a 3-minute or 5-minute video live streaming, and then I will post. It's not live streaming, but I will record it and post it in our group, because we have a lot of groups in like the QQ group, the WeChat group. Thousands of people there want to know what happens in the event. So I post some of the photos and some clips and some how to say 3 to 5 minutes live recording, and then post it there. But I didn't do the live streaming because the network of the is different network. It's not like the Facebook. Facebook can do a lot of live streaming. When I was outside China, in like Europe, I do a lot of streaming. And also because of I need to focus on organizing and also focus on the flying, so I cannot do 3 works together. I would do a lot of after editing and like the reporting review of the video to promote our sports after the events, and let people know what the score is and what pilot was in and how they achieve and how to fly exactly. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. I think, one of the reasons why this sport can be promoted and, gain new people is through content that's being created, either clips or videos or photos that you're sharing all over the place.
It is very important. It's not only me, and also some of the pilots like Shady and some pilot in our AERO Plus team, and also the ArmSoar team already did a lot of work. Some like recently they have published a lot of articles in our national magazines, and also doing a lot of education classes. Like Tang was just did education classes in Nanjing, which have 20 pilots, for very beginners, to have 2 days classes in Nanjing to know how to fly the F3K better. That's kind of thing. There's so many good people here in China willing to do a lot of work to promote the event for us and promote the net to introduce the sport into the community. And the Chinese are so big and so many people's there. And even in China, there's very, really small number of the pilot based on our big population. And we people want to get more people to get involved in the sport. So a lot of people was doing a promotion, a lot of work, like no matter writing articles and taking photos and getting a lot of events working here. So it's kind of good things in China happens right now. Yeah, I just checked the last the episode with Gavin. He said the NW. I like that word, the NW.
What's the NW?
The NW means Nick Wu.
Oh
he
my
don't
God.
want to mention my name, which was a stupid caller for you, and he said the NW.
Speaking of, so Gavin is not the worst caller I've had. I think I mentioned that in the last video, even though he let me go out of bounds. It's definitely you.
But I didn't let you go out of the bounds, which.
So I think
I never did that.
No, you've let me go out of bounds, but it was upwind and not downwind.
No, this is why you have so many drinkings last night, and then you land out in up. It's not my fault. I didn't let you land out. You land out yourself. The last time in China Open in Yangchenghu, last year, I landed upwinds, sideways, downwinds, every direction. I landed out during that event. I don't know if it's a curse or not, but I just did it.
It's quite difficult to land out of bounds upwind and beside the box. Yeah. It's 90% of the time it's downwind.
But it's kind of I don't know. Maybe it's some kind of spelling, or maybe a curse during the events. It just happened. I cannot imagine that.
Well, the other thing you're known for is landing in trees.
Yes, but not every photos I post in Facebook was me landing on trees. You just need to pay attention to that, because we have the network here. The Chinese community was so funny that every time when some guy landing on tree, they will have photos of that and also with the video, so they will share everywhere. very popular actions. So I post a lot of tree landings, not all by me, okay? It's mostly by the other guys, but I do land on the trees a lot because you know that the flying field of in China mostly they will have a lot of trees and smaller than the Europe and US, so we have bigger chance to land on trees. Yeah, that's why.
If that's how you justify it, I guess it makes sense. Oh man. All right, so thanks for joining us for episode 2 of Camber Up. I think we'll probably have you on again pretty soon. Guys, if you like this video, please remember to give it a thumbs up.
So I want to thank you for the chance that I joined the network again to share more things, funny things or different knowledge with all around the world. Because right now we are in the COVID pandemic right now, and people didn't have the chance to fly together in the events. But I think it will be a good way to share more with the live streaming and interview with you. And I hope to see more faces with some other guys together in the ArmSoar channel. And thanks for all the work, Thomas.
Awesome. Thank you. See you in the next episode.
Bye.